So, how many wins can my Cowboys get this year? How many wins can their Giants get this year? And you think it's going to be a better year for the New York Jets? Well, we're going to see if we can answer those questions and many more as we're heading east this week as we continue our four-part series of our divisional previews right here on Fantasy Football Fever, which starts right now. Well, hello again, everyone. It is once again time for Fantasy Football Fever. It is Thursday, June 20th, 2024. Great to have you with us wherever, whenever, and however you're watching us. My name, of course, is Tim Cullen. This, of course, is John Flynn, host of the Hooked on Sports podcast. And, of course, down below here is our lead commissioner, John Natale. Guys, how you doing?
Yeah, doing well. I just took a peek at my app. Countdown to the draft, 70 days.
70 days.
Yes, 70 plus days.
Yeah. Football season's getting close.
I gotta remember, I'm trying to think about maybe a famous player who wore number 70. I mean, it doesn't have to be no matter what team it was, or I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Let's try a quick Google search here and see.
So let's see the retired numbers, because I think that might be the best indicator of for us.
I shall do that. Retired NFL players number 70. Let's see. Okay, here we go. The
so we have three
players to wear number 70. Let's see. Leonard. Ooh. Here's a player from Flynn and I's era, Leonard Marshall.
It's for the Giants, I think.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. From 1992 to 2006.
It's a five.
Jim Marshall.
Who is that?
Jim Marshall.
Oh, you mean Jim Wrongway Marshall from the Vikings?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh no.
Here's one. Here's a more recent player, Zach Martin.
Yeah.
Zach Martin, great.
Mm-hmm.
So liner for the Cowboys.
And we got another Giant, Sam Huff.
Yeah. So we have five players who have number 70 retired. Art Donovan of the Colts when they were in Baltimore in the 50s. Right. Jim Marshall of the Vikings. Al Wistard of the Eagles, who played in late 40s, early 50s. Hall of Famer Ernie Staunter of defensive tackle for the Steelers in the 50s, and then Charlie Kruger of the 49ers. So those are the five players who have that number retired.
Oh, yeah. Daniel, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for watching this.
For current players for Tim's team, Zach Martin wears number 70.
Yeah. Now you're thinking about getting his jersey here pretty soon. But anyway, it's another Thursday night with the boys, and this week we're continuing our four-part series of divisional previews. This week we're previewing the AFC East and the NFC East. Just like we did for the last couple of weeks, we'll have the pretty much the rosters and their fantasy rankings. Then we'll take a look at their schedules, and we'll let you know what Vegas says on the wins over and under for each team. We'll go ahead. We'll do that here in a little while. But first, got some headlines, of course. So we got to go into the hot topics. Not really much as far as the hot topics are concerned. I will say one thing, that T. Higgins for the Cincinnati Bengals, he just signed his franchise tender, so he should be ready for a training camp coming up.
Yeah.
We're not too far away from training camp, are we?
I'd say we're about 5 weeks away from basically everybody's going to be having their first practices 5 weeks from now in training camp.
Okay, so So Higgins is signed. So Burrow's got one of his targets there.
Yeah, and I think that's a really big development here when you look at the AFC, when you look at the Cincinnati Bengals, because you don't want to have Jamar Chase double covered so many times as because I think having T Higgins, which is especially more important this year because they lost a little bit of depth at the wide receiver position because Tyler Boyd is now with the Titans, as we discussed last week.
That's right. So T Higgins signs franchise center. So we're good on that one. We were just talking about during the pregame meeting. Another player just signed an extension. I think it was Stevenson, right?
Yeah, Ramondre Stevenson of the New England Patriots, the running back, signed a 4-year, $36 million contract extension with $17 million guaranteed. And like when I saw that, I was like, "Whoa!" A running back getting paid $10 million a year. So and Ramondre Stevenson, as you're going to see in a little bit, has a fantasy ranking of number 20, and he gets paid that much. So I suppose the Patriots could get away with it because they have the rookie quarterback in Drake May, but but you usually don't put dollars on running backs as much as you used to in terms of connection to the salary in relation to the salary. Man, I just think the Patriots are going to be a disaster season.
Yeah, I think they're still kind of in a rebuilding phase now as they go into the post Belichick era. So,
yeah,
oh,
no kidding. But
Dashy's here again. Cowboys owner Jones, in case you don't know, said this about the Bengals: I could make better free agency moves than the Bengals. That's giving your opponent bulletin board material.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could even buy or sell anything Jerry says nowadays, but
Yeah,
of course I digress, And we still have speaking of our divisions that we're going to be talking about, key players who are still looking for contract extensions. Of course, in Dallas, we still got Dak, we still got CD, we still got Micah. And especially over in Miami, Tua is looking for another contract. Trying to look at his fantasy outlook of Dak's situation. Flynn, can you kind of analyze this for us?
It's because both Dak Prescott and Tua Tagovailoa are in contract years. So, I don't think the Tua situation should be overlooked by any means because if you look at the at the recent history of the Dolphins and the quarterback play, there's not been much in the way of stability over the last quarter of a century, and the quarterback who's come closest to that is Tua, and he put up a lot of big numbers last year, and he of course led the league in passing yards, which I think is interesting. But the Dolphins he needs to show that he can beat a quality team in a big time situation, and so far in his career he hasn't been able to do that.
So. And of course, you talk about Dak Prescott with a great season he had last year. People saying I should prioritize. I'm not sure what the priorities are. Dak had a great year, but Ceedee Lamb had probably the greatest year of his young career.
So yeah, and one of the greatest seasons a Cowboys receiver has ever had. And when you think about the history of the Cowboys with Drew Pearson and Michael Irvin and Des Bryant and all those cats, I think you're looking at Ceedee Lamb who may have as good a career as any of them in Big D.
Oh yeah, and of course we gotta get Micah Parsons settled. 2021 NFC Rookie of Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he just keeps killing it out on the field. He's always making those opposite quarterbacks start running from him, but he always seems to be catching them. So that's what has made him such a great defensive player. So okay, speaking of AFC East, so Josh Allen, of course, has a new young player in Buffalo, Keon Coleman. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at that right now. Take a look at the Bills. Look, Josh Allen ranked number 2 among all fantasy quarterbacks, with James Cook and Ray Davis as the running backs.
Yeah, Ray Davis was the Bills' 4th-round pick this year, so he slots into as number 2 back, behind James Cook.
And you have the young rookie Keon Coleman coming into the league, Curtis Samuel and Khalil Shakir. They already got Keon Coleman at number one right now, although his projected fantasy ranking is now 55. I'm starting to think that he could be a good star. Of course, Bill's looking for a new weapon after they lost Stephon Diggs to the Texans. And then you have Dalton Kincaid, their tight end, ranked number 8 among fantasy tight ends. Bill's defense special teams is pretty average, but the offensive line does have issues, ranked 23.
Yeah.
So, and we're going over to Miami now with Tua Tagovailoa, ranked number 21. Devon Achane, who was one of the great young studs of last year.
He came out of the clouds. We talked about. Because I think we talked about Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert as that power running back duo that would do so well under the Mike McDaniel's offense. Jeff Wilson was in San Francisco when Mike McDaniel was the offensive coordinator, and we were thinking Jeff Wilson was going to break out, but Jeff Wilson gets hurt, and this opened the door for Devon Achane, and he just had a magnificent season. Along with Mostert, they were 2 of the top 25 running backs in fantasy last year, and they were both on the same team. And of course, who can forget that incredible game that Achane had when the Dolphins hung 70 points on the Broncos?
Oh yeah, that was a big set. I was watching some highlights from that game, and I was like, "Oh my Lord, who was the last team in the modern era to score 70 points?" I mean, you have to go all the way back to the Chicago Bears back in the 30s when they had that big 73-0 game.
The team formerly known as the Washington Redskins scored 72 against the Giants in 66.
66, right? Yeah, Redskins there. And of course, they still have the Cheetah Tyreek Hill, ranked number 2 among wide receivers, with Jalen Waddle at 22, and Odell Beckham Jr. ranked number 88. I don't know if OBJ has. I don't know what year this is as far as his current contract is concerned, but I think he's could be his final year playing. I don't know, but he's kind of getting up there.
But I think that the thing what gets me is that Odell wanted to play. Is hoping to be on a team that he thinks can go to the Super Bowl, and he clearly thinks that the Miami Dolphins are that. But But I think when you look more into this, and this is something you don't see on the graphics that I made because I wanted the most notable names to pop out there. But so you have Odell Beckham Jr. is ranked number 88, and then you have Malik Washington, and then you have Braxton Berrios, who Braxton Berrios might be the most notable name out there, who's not going to be a fantasy a contributor. I mean, because Braxton Berrios is the boyfriend of superstar influencer Alex Earl, who is taken the internet by storm with the hot mess brand that she has, and Braxton Berrios, I mean, has reaped the benefits of that just by being her significant other. But but I do think you look at a Dolphins team that's going to score a lot of points, which I think is pretty obvious here. But I think this season is going to evolve around whether Tua made the adjustments from the last couple of seasons and figuring out how to avoid sacks and how to avoid pressure, because he clearly does not. I don't, because if he did not change anything, this Dolphins team is dead on arrival.
Yeah, I will definitely agree on that. They have their tight end Jonnu Smith ranked 26th. Have a top 10 defense, special teams. The offensive line has a little bit of issues, ranked 26th. So hopefully that offensive line will be a little bit better to try to protect Tua.
But they lost Robert Hunt, their star left guard, to a $100 million contract with the Panthers. I mean, Robert Hunt was was number 1 or number 2 on the offensive line free agent rankings, and that's going to be a really big loss for the Dolphins.
Oh yeah, definitely have there. So. I can see another good season for the Dolphins. I don't know if it's going to be as good as last year, but I can still see them as contenders. Unfortunately, I cannot say the same about the New England Patriots. I mean, they're still in rebuilding mode. Looks like Mac is out, Drake is in. Number 28 among the running backs with the aforementioned Ramondre Stevenson, ranked number 20, and Tino Gibson at number 40, with Demario Douglas, Kendrick Bourne, and Jalen Polk, the rookie, coming in ranked number 70. Now, he's a young guy that I kind of want to keep my eye on here.
These are some ugly numbers for wide receivers 1 through 3.
So, I mean, if you could find an antonym for the Houston Texans wide receiver room, this is it.
Yeah. In fact, I'm kind of, well, this may be kind of sounding a little homey a little bit, but Jalen Polk is a graduate of Lufkin High School from Lufkin, Texas, which is about a 2-hour drive from where I live here in Longview. The last great wide receiver that I remember who went to Lufkin High School, Des Bryant. Yeah, so coming out of Des Bryant's alma mater. Well, gets pretty good numbers here at the combine. He ran a 4.5240 with a 37.5-inch vertical jump and a 10-foot 9-inch broad jump. So respectable numbers there. The veteran Hunter Henry is their tight end again this year, ranked 21 among the tight ends in fantasy. Defense, special teams, a little bit low on the ledger, but the offensive line is just below average here. But I kind of see another struggling season for the Patriots. They're still trying to find they got a new identity they have to look for now.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Belichick is out, Gerard Mayo is in, but and I think it's crazy that we're looking at this Patriots team as a mess, but But I think it maybe the strengths of the team are the offensive line and the secondary because the secondary you have Christian Gonzalez, Jonathan Jones, Kyle Duggar, and Jabril Peppers, and all of them I think are solid are NFL quality players, and is that they all and in addition to Hunter Henry, they also added Austin Hooper in free agency, so he's their backup tight end now. So, it seems like the tight end group isn't too horrible, but so yeah, that wide receiver room is. I'm pretty sure it's ranked 32 out of 32. By Mike Clay, and yes, it is number 32.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and the Bills wide receiver group is actually ranked number 30.
Oh,
And so it's because Keon Coleman is as a number 55. But I do think it's worth mentioning, guys, about Keon Coleman because didn't you say you had tell us you had Keon Coleman as your breakout in the division?
No, that wasn't me. I put
I
put Malik Nabers and Mike Williams.
Yeah, so we'll get to Mike Williams in a second, but Keon Coleman is the guy. The Bills clearly needed a wide receiver in the draft. They said Xavier Worthy clearly was the guy to me, and then the Bills trade the pick to Kansas City only for the Chiefs to select Xavier Worthy, who I thought would have been perfect for the Bills offense. But I think Keon Coleman is a really good alternative prize here because the Bills traded down twice, so they got more picks back, and they get this cat Keon Coleman is that in the draft, and I think and it looks like he might be in for a big season now that he may very well be WR1 in there
yeah.
Yeah, and he caught 11 touchdowns last season from Florida State, and he was one of the reasons Florida State was a college football playoff contender for as long as they were, before of course the Jordan Travis injury.
Yeah, so yeah, another rough year for the Patriots. We'll take a look at their schedule in just a moment. Looking at the Jets now. Aaron Rodgers ranked number 9 among the fantasy quarterbacks. Hopefully he will get past the first 4 plays of the season. Of course, last year he was out that injury. Breece Hall was a young stud back last year. He pretty much has pretty good numbers. I can see some again with Braylon Allen as his backup.
I mean, Breece Hall. I mean, after I had my reservations about Breece Hall in the draft last year because I didn't know how he was going to recover from the ACL injury, but he was unbelievable last year when he came back.
You know, he was amazing there. Wide receiving core includes Garrett Wilson, the former Charger Mike Williams, and Malachi Corley. 944 and 84 rankings among the wide receivers in fantasy, respectively. Tyler Conklin, 17th ranked tight end in fantasy. And top 5 defense and top 5 offensive line. So that's pretty much the big strength for those Jets.
Yeah, and Natalie did say that he has Mike Williams as the breakout player for in fantasy this season from the AFC East. So I want to ask you, like, what makes you think that?
Yeah, I mean, it was, with him missing a lot of significant time the past season, yeah, he's due for a bounce back. For the most part, I think he's had a pretty solid career with the Chargers, and he only had 3 touchdowns last season, so he's definitely due to get his playing ability back.
I mean, I remember because he the Chargers picked him in the top. He was a top 10 pick when he went to the Chargers in 2017, and like watching his tape, I raved about him because he won a national championship at Clemson. Let's see, and and if the injuries weren't a problem, he probably would have had a much longer career and a much more and probably would have been a lot richer than he currently is.
He's with a new team now. Good change of scenery. The Jets are a far better team than the Chargers, so I think this new change will do him good.
Yeah, and then we got to see how the Jets are gonna use Breece Hall with if Aaron Rodgers is out there. It's because because Mike Clay, because we get the rankings from Mike Clay, so he's projected to have 67 receptions, 545 yards, 3 touchdowns. So if you are in a PPR league, there's a very good shot that Breece Hall is going to be the second running back taken on draft night. Mm-hmm. In addition to him being a 1,000-yard rusher, which I think will happen again, based on projections.
Not bad. Number 2 rusher, only behind the great Run CMC.
Yeah, which the two of you will be discussing next week.
Yep, we'll talk about that. So those are the lineups, fantasy lineups, I guess you could say, for the teams. Now let's go to their schedules. Mm-hmm. And looking here at the Bills schedule, it looks like the first 4 games are on. 4 of the first 6 games for the Bills are on the road. Thursday night football, Bills Dolphins. And week 4, they're at Baltimore. Then they're at Houston. They're at the New York Jets.
Yeah, so I think if the Bills can go the first 6 weeks, if the Bills can go 3-3 in the first 6 weeks, I think that's going to be a big win for them. Yeah.
That might be tough.
I would agree. 3-3. If they break even from those first 6 games, that'd be all right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they'll win against the Cardinals, but everybody else will be tough.
Yeah.
Have the bye week. Yeah. Then after the bye, and they're at home against the Niners. That'll be an awesome game.
A Sunday night game on December 1st.
Yeah. Then they got they go to the Rams and the Lions, back home against. Then they got the Patriots in 2 of the last 3 weeks. They're at home against the Patriots week 16. Then they wrap up the season at New England week 18 with the Jets in Buffalo in between those 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I think the Bills have to be careful here about those games, because you think the Patriots might want to spoil some of the Bills' January plans. Those 2 games.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and the Patriots are a team that have played the Bills tough, even after the Brady years.
That's right. So.
What do you think are you're looking at weeks 7 through 10 as I think the easiest part of the Bills schedule for Josh Allen and company? Because I think Tennessee, at Seattle, home against Miami, and then at Indianapolis against the Colts before the rematch of the divisional round against the Chiefs in Buffalo.
I could see them winning against Tennessee at home. I could probably see them winning at Seattle. I think it's going to be a nail biter against the Dolphins.
Right.
But I say they could be a size. I could probably see them in those 4 games 3-1, maybe.
I think they win all 4 of those games. It's because the Dolphins never play. I mean, other than that wacky wild card game, the Dolphins usually never play well in Buffalo against these Bills. But maybe the changeover and the turnover in defense, and the turnover in wide receiver might give the Dolphins some glimmer of hope when it comes to the division, as it does with the Jets and the Patriots. But I still think the Bills are going to win that game in Week 9, the morning after the clocks change.
Mm-hmm. So the Buffalo Bills last year, they finished 11-6. They won the tiebreaker with Miami Dolphins. They lost the divisional playoff game to Kansas City by a score of 27-24. Las Vegas has the wins over and under total for the Bills set at 10.5.
I'm going a bit under.
I'm taking the other two. I have some concerns about them down the stretch, and late last season, their defense fell flat. If their defense falls flat late, they're cooked.
This might be here. San Francisco is going to be tough. Baltimore is always going to be tough. I'm going to take the over, but not by much.
Yeah.
If it's maybe 10 or 11 games, that'd be all right. So I'm just going to take a slight over on that one.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is an over/under line. I won't touch. So it's because it's gonna be a while. I mean, we're gonna know by Week 6 a good read on this team because look, the thing why I say that is because a couple of years ago, remember when everyone was saying that Tyreek Hill leaving Kansas City was going to make Patrick Mahomes a lesser quarterback. Well, Patrick Mahomes has won Super Bowls each of the 2 years that Tyreek Hill has been away from him. So maybe it's it where Josh Allen has to create wide receivers and turn them into monsters for opposing defenses because that's what Josh Allen's going to have to do if his legacy is going to rival that of Jim Kelly's in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting there. Looking over to the Dolphins schedule, 3 of their first 4 games are at home. Just open with Jacksonville and Buffalo, on the road at Seattle, back home against Tennessee. Then they go to New England before their early bye week in Week 6. I could probably see
probably a split, maybe.
Yeah. So, but right now, I see the Dolphins going 2-3 in that stretch.
2-3.
Maybe 3-2, but
yeah. Then coming back from the bye, they got home against the Colts, so they go to Arizona.
They're at Indy. They're home against Arizona.
And Indy home against Arizona. Then they go to Buffalo, which is not going to be easy. Going to the Rams, which
I don't think that's going to be easy either. It's because you have Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua to take care of, and plus I think the Rams are going to have the major coaching advantage in that game.
Mm-hmm. Then home against the Raiders, home against the Patriots. Said they got to go to Lambeau Field to take on those Packers, and
on Thanksgiving night too.
The Thanksgiving night game. Oh, that is going to be showtime right there. And they're at home against the Jets. They're on the road to Houston, and their final home game of the season is against the Niners. That's going to be a tough one. But then they finish at Cleveland, then at New York.
Yeah, that 4 week stuff, where that last 4 weeks of the schedule is as tough as I've seen on the NFL schedule this year. Against 3 teams that made the playoffs in fantasy playoffs, 15, 16, 17, all possessing good quality defenses. So
So last year, 2003, the Dolphins finished 11-6. Of course, I mentioned they lost the tiebreak to Buffalo. They lost in the wild card round to Kansas City by a lowly score of 26-7. Las Vegas has the wins over under at 9.5.
Yeah, I can't stress enough how much I like the under on this one.
Yeah, it's a real tricky one. I was right between 9 and 10 wins. So based on that, I have to take the under also.
And I'm going to kind of go the same way I did with the Buffalo Bills. I'm taking the over, but not by much. They can go, maybe I'm looking at maybe 10 at best, but if they're really good, 11. I can see them getting 10 right there.
Yeah,
so I'll take the slight over on that one.
Yeah, but I mean, the offensive line is not great, but I think there are you think based on their talent, but if you look, I mean, their schedule is tougher this year than it was last year.
Oh yeah. Looking at New England, their first four are on the road. They gotta go to Cincinnati, they gotta go to New York, they go to San Francisco. Week 2, they're at home against the Seahawks. Then they're back home against the Dolphins and the Texans. Those first 6 games,
I could see them losing all of them, to be honest. The only one I'm not sure about is Seattle.
And then Jacksonville, the Jets. I think the Patriots are going to start the season 0-8.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. The only one that's my question mark is the Seahawks.
Yeah. Yeah, the Seahawks game kind of gives me a little cause to pause, but yeah, if they can come out with a win in any of those, it'll probably be Seattle. But other than that, I could probably see them winning at Tennessee.
Probably.
At the Bears,
maybe. I would say that's a loss. The Bears are far improved.
Oh yeah, with
Rams
that great
is a
draft
loss.
they had, Rams loss. Dolphins going to be a loss, maybe.
Yeah, I'll give them one win I'll give them a split series there. So I'll give them a win there.
Yeah, so
maybe the other way around. Maybe they win at home. Possibly.
I mean, assuming our opinions of the Dolphins being frauds comes to fruition.
Yeah.
Right. And they got a late bye week 14. Then they have 2 games on the road at Arizona, at Buffalo, then home against Chargers, home against Buffalo.
Yeah, I'll give them a win against the Cardinals, maybe the Chargers.
I think they split against Buffalo because I think that there's some way where Sean McDermott is going to overlook Gerard Mayo and the Patriots, one of those 2 games. So I'm going to give them a split with Buffalo.
Yeah, that's fair. I got them at like 4 wins, maybe 5.
What's the over under for Vegas on this football team?
Vegas has the over under for the Patriots 4.5.
Ugh. Oh jeez.
Yeah.
Why did I say 4 or 5?
Good
Go figure. All right, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll go over, whatever.
I think they went 5.
So that's over them, just barely.
Just barely over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to give them 5 wins at best. If they get 6, then they would be really lucky. Yeah, that one game week 2 against Seattle, that's gonna really have to look at that one right there. Over to the New York Jets. They go to San Francisco, then they go to Tennessee first 2 weeks, then they're back home against the Patriots and the Broncos. Then week 5 they go to Minnesota. Now
that's the London game.
The game in London, that will be an interesting matchup. But of course, it's going to be on neutral ground, so
right.
But still, it'll be worth watching.
Yeah.
Week 6 at home against Buffalo. Then they go to Pittsburgh. Then they go to New England. Home against the Texans. On the road to Arizona. Then back home against Indianapolis before their Week 12 bye.
Yeah, I think the Jets can go 8-3 in that stretch.
8-3. Let's see.
I think San Francisco is going to trip them up. I think Pittsburgh. I think that game is going to trip them up.
Yep. I'm agreeing there.
And then I'm thinking that Thursday night game against the Texans.
Yep.
I mean, those are the three that I have as right now as losses.
That's exactly where I was leading too.
49ers, Steelers, and Texans. I tend to agree with that. I can agree.
It's maybe one of the Patriots games will be a trap game.
Yeah.
But I think the Jets are going to win both of those games, especially with Rodgers. Assuming Rodgers plays more than 4 snaps.
Right. Then after their Week 12 bye, they're at home against the Seahawks, on the road in Miami, then Jacksonville, then home against the Rams, on the road in Buffalo, then close out the season at home against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
That could be a little bit of a tougher stretch, slightly tougher stretch, but not too bad.
Yeah, but it's I mean, if you're going to get favorable matchups for Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, I think you have to look at 15 or you can actually look at 16 and 17 as favorable matchups if Buffalo's starting secondary doesn't if they haven't developed that by that time for that playoff push.
All right. So the Jets finished last season 7-10. Las Vegas has the over/under at 9.5.
Way over. Shoot the moon.
It's the only pause I have for this Jets team is the coaching. Because I vehemently disagreed with the Jets' decision to keep Robert Saleh. I mean, even though Rodgers was hurt, there were still some winnable games for the Jets. I think you look at that Patriots loss in Week 3, the inexplicable efforts against Miami, the total no-show in Buffalo. In Week 11, there were games that the Jets should have won, but they lost.
Yeah, so well, I'm definitely gonna go. I put on my paper. I put over plus.
Yeah,
because it's gonna be more. I can say it's like what did we say? It was 9.5. I could see them maybe 11. Maybe 11, maybe 12, 11 and 12. That's kind of a range I'm looking at right there.
We're seeing it the exact same way.
So that is basically the AFC East right there. And now we take a look at the NFC East, and I know I've been waiting for this, and I know you guys have.
Oh yeah.
So starting with my Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott ranked number 6 among the fantasy quarterbacks. Great season last year. 30. I think if I'm not mistaken, numbers are right. 30 touchdowns and only 9 interceptions. He said before last season that he would not throw more than 10 interceptions like they did the year before. So last year he threw 9. So. Rico Dowdle, of course, we know he signed a 1-year contract earlier this year. They brought back Zeke Elliott. I am still on the fence about that.
Yeah, very questionable.
Yes, because ever since his rookie year, 2016, when he and Dak came in the league at the same time, his yearly yards per average total goes down, with each number lower than the one preceding it. So I don't know. Zeke is a big question mark as far as the backfield. Now Rico Dowdle, I can see him maybe like a good, maybe third down back. I could probably see him that. Ceedee Lamb, what an awesome season he had last year, projected at number 1 among the fantasy wide receivers. Brandon Cooks coming back for another year. He contributed very well to the team. And Jalen Tolbert. Now, I was going to make Jalen Tolbert my fantasy breakout star for this year. I mean, I still could, but I could see him maybe getting a few receptions and maybe a few touchdowns. Jake Ferguson, top 10 right now at number 10 for the tight ends.
You see, he was pretty good. I mean, I had him in my other league, and he was pretty good.
Yeah. Cowboys defense is still a top 5 defense with Micah Parsons and Donovan Wilson and all those guys. The offensive line is going to be my main concern because basically you've got 2 rookies. They're pretty much going to be plugged into that offensive line right there. You got Cooper Beebe. Oh my! I just lost my page here. I was going to take a look at the depth chart for the Cowboys from our lads. Pretty good website. I thank you for recommending that, Flynn.
Yeah, so I mean, it's exciting. You're looking at Tyler Guyton, their first round pick out of Oklahoma, and then Cooper Beebe from K State, whom the Cowboys used as their third round pick, which is kind of pretty much where I think where we thought the Cowboys were going to go. Now, could the Cowboys have been more aggressive to get a higher rank tackle? Maybe, but you can't go wrong with the tackle.
No, you can't go out there. So it looks like on the line you're going to get Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Brock Hoffman under center right now. Zach Martin, still probably the greatest offensive lineman since Larry Allen. God rest his soul. And of course, Terrence Steele will complete that offensive line. So my main concern is going to be the offensive line with those 2 rookies, if they're going to be able to protect Dak pretty much this year.
Yeah, I think you also got to look a little bit about the Dallas defense, because the only free agent acquisition they made from externally and not in the draft or anywhere else is Eric Kendricks, who might be the top off-ball linebacker on this team. But I think the question is he going to be fast enough to play in this new defense under Mike Zimmer? I mean, of course, Mike Zimmer and Eric Kendricks were together in Minnesota, so I think hence why they made the move. But
yeah, so we'll just see what happens there. Now we're talking about your guys, the New York Jets. New York Giants. Daniel Jones, ranked 25. Devin Singletary and Tyrone Tracy, the running backs. My breakout star, Malik Nabers.
Yeah.
For the Giants, with Rondale Robinson and Darius Slayton at number 73. Daniel Bellinger with their tight end. Giants defense and both their offensive and defensive lines kind of below the bottom here. I want to hear you guys' take on this.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for Malik Nabers. Yeah, they badly need wide receiver help, and yeah, he could be the one. I think, yeah. I like Flynn's take on Wan'Dale Robinson having a breakout too. He hasn't gotten the chance lately.
Yeah, so but I think if the Giants are going to be somewhat competitive this year, so the Giants' offensive line has to play significantly better than it did last year. And listen, I'm pretty sure they're going to be better, and I think they're going to be better than number 27, because you have Carmen Brasillo as your offensive line coach, and I think he's and he's been talking to the press during OTAs and mini camps, saying a lot of intelligent things on how to coach and develop an offensive line, and of course the Giants put a lot of dollars into that because look, this is Daniel Jones' last chance. But it's because the Giants, with the way the Giants contract is structured regarding Daniel Jones that the Giants could save as much as $30 million on salary recoveries if Daniel Jones is designated as a post-June 1st salary cap cut, which could be a big deal because Giants need dudes elsewhere. But and look, I think the Giants have a pretty good feel here when it comes to the receivers because they drafted wide receivers in the first 2 days of the draft each of the last 3 years. You had Wan'Dale Robinson out of Kentucky in 2022. Then you had Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee last year, who's not ranked, but I think at some point Jalen Hyatt's going to be ranked higher, and he's going to be really formidable on those deep threats. And I think they're going to make Daniel Jones throw the ball down the field more. So, which of course can happen if the Giants' offensive line doesn't play as bad, but we'll see. We'll see about that. Another player that's not listed on here that I'm excited about is Theo Johnson, the tight end out of Penn State. Now he's ranked number 44 on Mike Clay's charts. But I think at some point, I think Theo Johnson. I would not be shocked if he finishes as one of the top 20 tight ends in fantasy this year because he's going to be a physical mismatch, and I think with Daniel Jones being reliant on good tight end play, I think they're going to rely on him as much. Now Bellinger can catch too, but I think Bellinger is going to be more focused on blocking because. Yeah, because when the Giants got off to that 6-1 start in 2022, Bellinger was blocking so well for Saquon Barkley, which gave the Giants a chance to win because they were able to protect the football on that. But yes, I am excited about Malik Nabers. He's been running the same route that Justin Jefferson did, and he's been executing them on a high level. So that's what I'm looking at now. Defensively, the front seven is going to be the strength of this football team because, of course, the Giants making the trade for Brian Burns in with Carolina, and I thought that was the single out of all the moves the NFC East GMs made, that was the single best one, just because 2 years ago the Rams reportedly offered 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns to complement that defensive line, but the Giants only had to give up a second and a fifth and a next year's 5th round pick for his services. So you have an instant impact player, and that'll take pressure off of Kayvon Thibodeau. That's going to take some pressure off of Dexter Lawrence, who should have been first team All-Pro at the defensive tackle position last year. He was not. That went to Chris Jones of the Chiefs, but I digress. But I think there is a lot there are things to be excited about. Now let's just hope that Joe Shane and Brian Dable get an extra year behind this because there are some smart people that have Dable on the hot seat. Personally, I don't think he is because I don't think he is, or unless it gets really, really, really bad and Dable loses the locker room, then he's going to go. But it's going to be tough sledding, I think, for the Giants in terms of making the playoffs, especially if the offensive line is still down.
Right. Good insight there. To the Eagles, we go with the number 1, right? I mean, check this out. Number 1 quarterback, top 5 running back, top 10 wide receiver, top 10 offensive line. I mean,
and you have another top 20 wide receiver on top of that with Devontae Smith.
Oh yeah, Devontae Smith, top 20. Dallas Goedert, top 15 tight end. Defense special team is ranked 21, below average, but the offensive line is pretty stout. So do y'all agree with me that Philadelphia could bounce back after that season they had last year where they had a good string and they just went so high and then they just collapsed at the end and basically free fall into the playoffs and get knocked out in the first round. I don't see like this happening to them again this year.
I mean, especially with the coordinators, because now they have Vic Fangio running that defense. Kellen Moore is going to be the play caller on that. So I think the question with all of these players is how is Kellen Moore's new offense, because Jalen Hurts talked to the press earlier in OTAs and said that the offense is pretty much 95% new. So it leads to make you think that they're trying to turn Jalen Hurts into a pocket passer. And now that they have Saquon Barkley, that can handle the running behind that offensive line. So I think if Jalen Hurts becomes a good pocket passer, then I think you're gonna have both AJ Brown and Devontae Smith having monster seasons again for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Of course, the big question in Philadelphia is, I'd say, will they have enough firepower to overtake San Francisco to be the best team in the NFC?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, because if I were to give an NFC power rankings right now, I would put San Francisco number 1, I would put Detroit number 2, and I would put Philadelphia number 3.
Detroit.
Yeah, remember we talked about a couple weeks ago that the Lions' defense is better now than it was last year.
Oh yeah. And now over to our nation's capital, Washington, where they hopefully hit the jackpot when they drafted their quarterback Jaden Daniels. He's the new man right there, with Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler, the veteran at the running back core, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and the rookie Luke McCaffrey at the wide receiver positions. I'm kind of keeping my eye on McCaffrey, as he is kind of another one of my secondary fantasy breakouts this year for Washington. Still have Zach Ertz as their tight end. Pretty much ranked down at the bottom on the fantasy tight ends right there. And their defense and special teams, not very good. Commanders' offensive line is not that good either. But with a new quarterback, hopefully they'll be able to protect him a little bit.
Yeah, and like the things about the Giants, Eagles, and the Commanders is that you have a lot. You had a lot of different players moving in and out. Remember, Washington had over $100 million in cap space going into this offseason, and they really beefed up, especially on the defense. That was the worst in football last year. I mean, so they brought Dan Quinn brought Dorrance Armstrong with him from Dallas. They brought in Frankie Lavulu, Bobby Wagner, Jeremy Chin, I think, was addition as well. Dante Fowler on the edge as well. So you have a lot of talented players who moved over to Washington. So I would not be surprised if Washington's defense / special teams ranking is a little bit higher than it is right now.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what things are coming up for the Commanders this year as we go ahead and let's go ahead and take a look at the schedules for this particular division here. And look at this here. We got Cowboys starting on the road against Cleveland. They're at home against New Orleans. Then week 3 against Baltimore. That is going to be a tough one. Then at New York, week 4. Then we go to Pittsburgh, week 5. Then at home against the Lions. That'll be another tough one before we take our week 7 bye. So looking at that schedule right here, I see I'll take it if the Cowboys go 3-3 in that first 6 games.
That sounds about right. My question mark is the Saints.
My question mark is going to be the game one against Cleveland, because you're going to start the two rookies, and you got Myles Garrett, who is like one of the best defensemen in the entire league, lining up on the other side.
Yeah, and the reigning defensive player of the year.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so I'm looking at Cleveland. I'm looking at Detroit. And then yeah, it is gonna be a tough stretch. I mean, outside of the Giants, I think those five of those the other five games look like games that that the Cowboys gonna have to get to win. So I could see this Cowboys team starting the season 2-4, 3-3 before their bye.
And then they'll be rested after the bye, but will it be enough? Because they have to go to San Francisco for a Sunday night football game, which I'm circling down as my game of the year for the Cowboys right there. Then they go to Atlanta, back home against the Eagles. And then week 11, the I-45 showdown, which truthfully, and y'all might be crazy. I mean, am I crazy or not? I could see the Texans beating the Cowboys in that game.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
I could also see the Eagles beating the Cowboys the week before
at AT&T Stadium.
Yes, I think this is the year where Philly finally sweeps Dallas again.
A sweep against Dallas. Oh boy. Then they go to Washington. Then they go to Washington week 12. Then home against the Giants. Home against the Bengals. That'll be an interesting game to see. Then they go to Carolina. Home against Tampa Bay. Then they go to Philadelphia. That is, and every time Cowboys go to Philadelphia, it is never good.
And you think of the seeding implications for that game too, because it's week 17.
Yeah, so it'd be. And then 18 at home against the Commanders. So, very tough schedule there. Last year, Cowboys finished 12-5, won the NFC East. And of course, they shockingly lost that wild card game against Green Bay, 48-32. Vegas has the Cowboys wins over and under total set at 10.5.
I don't see how they get to 10. Truthfully.
This is tricky, but I'm just going to go over.
Of course, I think they finished 12-5 for each of the last 3 years and still get bumped out of the playoffs. I am going to go over, but not by much. Speaking realistically, I could see them winning 11 games this year.
Yeah, I have them winning 8 or 9 games. I'm just not buying Dallas at all this year. I mean, because given how last year that I had Dallas is clearly the second best team in the NFC this year. Last year, I'm clearly not seeing that this year.
Oh, so that means with 8 or 9 wins, that means you probably don't have them in the playoffs this season.
I don't have them in the playoffs. If the season started today, I would have the Cowboys missing the playoffs.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I think we all agreed a few weeks ago when we did our 5 in, 5 out. I think all of us picked the Cowboys maybe miss the playoffs.
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
But I know I did, but but also if you look elsewhere in the conference, you got to think about Detroit, Detroit, San Francisco. You got to talk about the Rams. You got to talk about Chicago. You got to think about Green Bay, and then you got to think of the loser of maybe New Orleans. I would not be surprised if the Arizona Cardinals are going to be in the conversation this season because they're my deep sleeper team. I think they're going to be better than people think. Could the Cardinals win several games outside the division?
Mm-hmm. And I'm still on the fence about Zeke. I was so concerned about the offensive line. That's all I got to say about that. Now to your guys, the New York Giants.
Yeah.
What do you see here?
Yeah, so we start at home against the Vikings. I mean that could.
I have that as a win.
Yeah, I have that as a win. I have at Washington as a win. So, I mean, I think if the Giants are going to be successful, I think they got to win those first 2 games.
Yeah, I think they split with Washington, but they win at home.
Yeah, I have them sweeping against Washington, and because I have Cleveland, the Cleveland, Dallas, Seattle, Cincinnati, Philly, and Pittsburgh games all losses.
I agree with all of them except the Bengals. I have that as my win.
Joe Burrow against Daniel Jones, that a quarterback mismatch for the ages. I don't see that one happening.
No.
Yeah, I already did my head count on here. I have the Giants winning 8 games.
Yeah, I do not have the winning 8 games, but so I do have them winning, sweeping Washington again, and then they beat the Panthers in Munich in Week 10 in Germany.
I have that.
Then the bye, then home against Tampa.
That's my win.
I'm kind of on the fence about that, and then at Dallas, loss.
Yep, I have both those as losses.
Yeah, I mean versus New Orleans.
Yeah, that's my loss. And then I have them winning against the Falcons and the Colts.
Yeah. Tim, do you think the Giants are going to win any of those games? Weeks 13 through 18.
13 through 18 at Dallas.
Colts and Falcons.
I think they beat the Colts. Maybe they beat Tampa, but I mean the game's at home, so I think they have a chance of that one. But
I think the Giants could beat the Saints at home.
Saints, wow, interesting.
I think so.
I mean the way the Giants got their butts kicked in New Orleans last year. Again, granted, it was Tommy DeVito, but at quarterback. But I think this is a 6-win team, Timmy.
Oh, you have 6. Okay, I have 8. So recap: I have Washington. I actually have an upset. I have them beating the Eagles one of their games, and then I have the Vikings as a win, the Bengals, the Panthers, the Falcons, and the Colts. Actually, it might be 7 now. Let me count one more time. You have Vikings, Washington, Panthers, Bucks, Falcons. Actually, I might have miscounted. I might actually have 6 now. Right, let me look again.
All right. Well, I'll just mention last year the Giants finished 6-11. Las Vegas has the over/under win total for the Giants set at 6.5.
Yeah, I'm going under with this team.
I got to look one more time and make my count official. All right, I have the Vikings as a win. Let's see. I have the Bengals as a win. Washington as a win. Panthers as a win. Bucks as a win. And then Falcons, Colts. So I have 7. Over.
So you're gonna go over, Timmy. Timmy, what do you think?
I'm going with a slight over. I kind of agree with what Natalie said. Maybe 7 wins at best.
Yeah, I'm changing my mind on the Eagles. I have them losing both, so I'll go 7.
Yeah. Like I said, I could probably see them winning at home against the Saints in week 14 there. Over to the Eagles, defending their NFC East Championship, starting
in Brazil.
Brazil. Down in South America, they're starting against the Packers, and they at home against the Falcons. On the road to New Orleans, on the road to Tampa Bay before an early week 5 bye. 4-0.
Yeah. 1 win against the Bucks. They win their first game and then lose 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I think they're going to. But I think they're going to beat Atlanta because Kirk Cousins in prime time not
He's not good.
Not very trustworthy. And then against the Saints team, which has less talent than the Eagles, and then against the Bucks against the Bucks in the playoff rematch. So I think the Eagles are going to start at minimum 3-1 before their bye.
I'd say the Eagles will start 4-0.
Oh, whoops! I was looking at the wrong team. Never mind.
I
thought we're on the Commanders. I was reading the wrong column.
Okay, then after their week 5 bye, they're at home against the Browns, and they go to New York, go to the Cincinnati, home against Jacksonville, then they go to Dallas. So next 5 games here. I could see them going at least 4-1, 5-0 if they beat Dallas.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Cleveland might trip them up, but against the Eagles coming off their bye, maybe Cincinnati. So it's because right now if the Seeds were to start today, since I would be leaning towards Cincinnati as my team to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl because that's how that's how much I feel about the Bengals this year. So yeah, but I do think the rest of those games are wins.
All right, yeah. Then week 11, home against the Commanders, and they go to Los Angeles, go to Baltimore. That Sunday game in Baltimore, week 13, I'd probably keep my eye on that one.
Yeah, a 4:25 game between 2 East Coast games. That's the national broadcast. That's the national game during the 4:25 window.
And then they're at home against the Panthers, home against their in-state rivals, the Steelers. And they're on the road against the Commanders, and they finish at home against the Cowboys and against the Giants, which I say probably they'll win both those last 2.
Yeah. I think this is a 12-win team. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they finished 11-6. They lost the wild card game with Tampa Bay by a score of 32-9 after that free fall into the playoffs for the last part of that season. Vegas has their win over and under total. They have it set at 10.5, but I see more than that.
Yeah, we all have them as over because they're clearly the best team in the NFC East. They're going into the season.
Yeah, I can see between 12 and 13. I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at matchups in Week 14, where you need to win to make your fantasy playoffs, I think that they have a great matchup for you Week 14 against the Panthers team that lost 6 starters on defense this past off season.
Right. So now we go to Washington.
Yeah.
First, 3 of their first 4 games are on the road. They go to Tampa Bay. They're at home against the Giants. Go to Cincinnati. Go to Arizona. Home against the Browns, and they go to Baltimore. That's
I have every one of them as a loss.
As do I. Yeah, and even the Arizona game, I think that's a loss too.
I think I would concur on that one.
But I do think they can beat the Panthers. I do think they'll find a way to beat Chicago week 8.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
I mean, but
I have the split with the Giants, so I think that's their second win there.
Yeah.
Steelers probably a loss. I would say.
That's gonna feel like a Mike Tomlin trap game.
I could see possibly. Looking at the rest, I'm counting like 4 wins, maybe 5.
Yeah. I could probably see I could probably see the Cowboys sweeping the Commanders again.
Yeah.
So they have a late week 14 bye before their final run there.
Yeah.
Commanders finished last year 4-13. The over under according to Vegas.
Huh? What's the line?
Actually, the line that Vegas has for over under for the Commanders is 6.5.
Okay, under.
I'm going under too.
I'm gonna go slightly under, but I'm not as extreme on that bet as the two of you. Yeah, but I mean, if you're looking for fantasy playoffs matchups, I think maybe week 16, because the Eagles and the Commanders usually play high scoring games. So if you're someone that has Terry McLaurin or Brian Robinson Jr. or on an Eagles side, if you're looking at basically anybody, that's usually a high scoring game play.
Yeah. So. Well, there you have it. That's our previews there for the AFC East and the NFC East. We do actually before the show began, we had our little pre-show meeting, and Flynn, if I'm not mistaken, you had a trivia question for us.
Yes, I do.
And Natalie came up with one as well.
Yes, I do.
Unfortunately, I could not come up with this one this week, so I'll just give the floor to Flynn. Go ahead and see if you can stump us.
Okay, so this question relates to what we discussed tonight with the eight franchises in the NFC East. So among the eight, so between the 8 teams that two players were named to the first team All Pro 8 times, with playing for any of the teams combined. So you could have all of them with one team, or split it between 2 teams within the group of 8 that we discussed tonight. But two players have been named to the first team All Pro, for representing Eastern Division teams. So which 2 are they?
Right, this is active players you're talking about, or
or retired?
Oh, okay.
You said these 2 players made All Pro team 8 times.
Yep, first team All Pro 8 times.
First team All Pro 8 times.
Representing Eastern Division teams among the 8 franchises we discussed tonight.
Okay.
I want to throw in Dan Marino in there.
He would be a likely one. I think I'd like to throw in this may be weird, but I gotta go with Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski.
So you're gonna go with Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, I'm going with. I can't think of any receivers from the Dolphins. I'm just gonna say Dan Marino is one of them.
Is that? I remember it can be either side of the football.
Right.
I mean, I'm just gonna go with a legend from the Dallas Cowboys too as my other one. I'll just say Michael Irvin.
So you're going with Michael Irvin and you're going with Danny Marino as your 2, while Tim is going to go with Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. So I'm going to do the tallies first. So Dan Marino was named first team All Pro 3 times from 80, 85, and 86. Michael Irvin was named first team All Pro once.
Really?
Yes. Now let's focus on Timmy's picks now. So Tom Brady was named first team All Pro 3 times at quarterback, and then Rob Gronkowski was named first team All-Pro 4 times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'll give you a second chance on this one for both of you. So both players I'm looking for were defensive players.
Oh, interesting.
First team All-Pro.
First team All-Pro 8 times from the teams that we mentioned on the defense.
I'm just gonna win it. I'm gonna be a homer and go with my team. Michael Strahan has one.
Michael Strahan as one, and then for Timmy.
Strahan did have a great career. I'm gonna go Michael Strahan and Mike Vrabel.
And for that, I say
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Mike Vrabel. Okay, so since both of you are way off on this one, Michael Strahan was Mike Vrabel was named first team All-Pro once.
Wow.
Michael Strahan, I know he's definitely first team All-Pro of the year. He had the 22.5 sacks. First team All-Pro 4 times. And who was the other one you said, Tally?
I didn't do a second one. What was what did I say earlier?
Earlier you
I
said
didn't make a full second guess, so I just gave you 3 people.
Yeah.
So the 2 players I was looking for were Bruce Smith for the Bills,
Smith,
and LT Lawrence Taylor.
Oh,
LT.
Taylor.
Oh my gosh!
I had the right team.
Right team, but the wrong era.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's some others with 7. John Hannon for the Hanna from the Patriots. Zach Martin and Randy White 7 times.
Zach Martin and Randy White, the Manster.
Some of the players with 6 on Eastern Division teams include Larry Allen, Chuck Bednarik, Rosie Brown. Let's see here. Jason Kelsey was named 6 times. Let's see. Commanders. Bobby Wagner, the Commanders, has 6, but all 6 of those were with Seattle, so so he wouldn't qualify. Qualified anyway. Reggie White was also named 8 times, but 6 he came with the Eagles. So for that, so he had 6.
Oh, I was thinking about Reggie White.
Yeah, but that would have been the closest guess. But
yeah,
Lawrence Taylor and Bruce Smith, 8-time first team
Lawrence
All-Pros.
Taylor, Bruce Smith.
All right, now the tally.
All right. Mine's not really directly tied to a player per se. This is more of like a geography type of question. I was thinking about international stuff. Now, outside of the U.S. and Canada, out of all the players that are playing today, which country is the most common place of birth?
Oh.
Basically, thinking about all the players that are playing right now, active players outside of the U.S. and Canada, as far as their place of birth goes, which country is the most common?
I mean, the first name that comes out of my first country that comes out of my mind is Mexico, because Mexico basically is south of the border. Now, Timmy,
I think Mexico would probably be too obvious of an answer. I'm gonna go with different. I'm gonna go with a different country other than Mexico. I'm going to say just say Spain.
Let's see. Let's see. For active players, there's actually only 2 active players that were born in Mexico. That was
Who are
Isaac
they?
Alarcon and Alfredo Gutierrez. Let's see, Tim said Spain. And there is nobody active that was born in Spain. I'll give you both a second chance here.
I award
I'll
you
give
no
you guys the
points,
hint.
and may God have mercy on your soul.
Okay, try again. So it's not Mexico and it's not Spain.
The
Here's a
UK.
option. The continent is Africa.
Ooh. Nigeria.
Ooh, the continent of Africa.
When it's saying Nigeria, Tim, are you going to agree or are you going to pick a different country?
He said Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds about right. I think I would agree with Flynn there.
Yeah, that was a good move. I'm not going to count them. There's a crap ton of them, but the answer is Nigeria. We got a lot of players born in Nigeria. Let's see. Here's one. Nelson Aguilar. He was born in Nigeria. Let me see. I'm going to turn my phone around. There's a few names there you could probably see. I don't know if you can see that.
Let me expand my picture here a little bit. Yeah, let me see if we can give him a solo layout so we can see better here.
Yeah. I might have to make it bigger if I could. Let me see if I could. Okay, I could resize it a little bit. Hold on.
It's how many players?
There was a lot. I can count it. It might take me a moment. Hold on. Let me see if I could do it. Let me see if I can count it. Hold on. 1, let's see, 2, 3, 4. Oh, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21.
Ooh-wee.
There were 21. I'll just run down the line. Nelson Aguilar, Ben Banogu, Victor Dewama. I'm not even going to try that one. Samson Ibukam, Obina Ease, Kahid Ogani Hassan, Kinsley Jonathan, Roy. I'm not going to try this one. Mapatika. Some of these players I never even heard of. Hagi Chisum Nabulbusi. These names are too hard to say.
Gesundheit.
Effie Ubada. Kenneth Uda Megawu. Emmanuel Agba. Amon. Oh, I'm not even going to try that one. Ogabana.
Emmanuel Ogba won the Super Bowl, I think, with Kansas City one year, and then he's been with Miami the last 3 years.
There's also David Ojobo, Mormo Ojomo, Chakuma Okafor, and then CJ Okoye, David Onamata, Roku Orahoru, Joseph Asai, and then to close it out, Prince Tega Wanagoho.
Oh, Joseph Asai, I think he's with the
Nigeria.
he's with the Browns. No, Joseph Asai was from third round pick by the Bengals a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, yeah. 21 active players from Nigeria.
21 active players were born in Nigeria. Outside of Canada and the U.S., that's the most common. We have 3 from Ghana. Yep. There's a couple from Greece. Yeah, all kinds of countries.
Yeah.
Sometimes you would never expect. There's actually one player born in Turkey. Chris Conley.
Well, very interesting questions, gentlemen. Very well on those. Had me stumped on those.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, I think on that note, we're just going to go ahead and wrap up this edition of Fantasy Football Fever, but not before Mr. Flynn tells us about his latest episode of Hooked on Sports.
Yeah, probably record one tomorrow, and I think we're going to be all over the Celtics winning the title over the Mavs. I'll get into some baseball, and then of course get into a little bit of hockey and the WNBA. So definitely be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, people like to tell me that the Mavericks choked. No, the Mavericks didn't choke. They just ran into a buzzsaw.
Yeah, I don't think Luka was ready for the intensity of the finals, but
Right.
he the Mavs will be back. I think the Mavs will get better.
Oh yeah,
They'll get better
they'll be back.
and work their franchise around Luka.
Yeah, and it seems like my Rangers are playing as if last year's championship was a fluke.
Yeah, and see, I mean,
falling on hard times.
They lost 2 out of 3 to the Mets over the this past week, including a 14-2 game on Monday, and then the Mets rallied for four runs down. That was a terrific win for the Mets. So they had the big double from Alvarez, the RBI double by Alonso to win into the 9th. That was a great win by the Mets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
so anyway, that's
now.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So you said probably tomorrow you'll have it?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so y'all be on the lookout wherever you get your podcasts, so y'all can look up Hooked on Sports with John Flynn sometime tomorrow, latest episode, and of course we'll be back next
week,
Thursday again.
The 2 of you will be running the show because I will not be on the podcast next week.
All right.
Okay, so it'll be me and Natalie next week. We'll see if we can get someone maybe in our league or outside our league to maybe join us as a guest analyst, I guess. So we could do that next week. We're heading west. Go west, young man. We're going to go AFC West and NFC West. Probably 2 intriguing divisions in the league right there. So we'll take care of that. You said 70 days until the draft for our league, huh?
It's 70 plus.
Let me just confirm that just to make sure.
Yeah.
I'll reveal it on camera once I get into the app here. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Yep, it's here's the countdown: 70 days, 20 hours, 42 minutes, 35 seconds. There is the countdown.
And counting.
Yeah, look at that timer going down little by little.
All right.
Little by little, just getting me a little bit more excited with every passing second. So,
all right.
So, I guess I'll do it. Thanks everyone for joining us. Remember, if you like this show, subscribe to the channel so you'll know when our next episode is. But we'll go ahead and plan for next Thursday to get y'all prepared. And check out our previous content. We got some good stuff there in case you missed it. So that's going to do it for this edition. For my guys, John Flynn, John Natale, my name's Tim McClellan. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great week and a great weekend. We'll see you next Thursday night. Take care. God bless you. And as always, be a good sport. See ya.